Introducing to you first on my right, super bantamweight champion of the world, Naoya.
NBA Intercontinental Super Bantamweight Champion, Murodjon.
Naoya Inoue.
So let's look at your scorecard. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute, he was cut blood.
On the night of August 27, 2025, Tokyo wasn't just hosting a boxing match, it was witnessing history. The Tokyo Dome, packed with more than 55,000 screaming fans, stood as a monument to what boxing has always been about: legacy, pride, and the raw clash of power and skill. Into that arena walked Naoya the Monster Inoue, undefeated, undisputed, and unchallenged. His aura was cold, clinical, inevitable. To many, he was more than a boxer. He was a myth made flesh. But this night was different. This night, he wasn't facing someone who came to survive. He was facing a man who came to conquer. That man was Murodjon Akhmadaliev, MJ, Uzbekistan's warrior, a former unified world champion, a relentless southpaw with fire in his eyes. He didn't arrive in Tokyo as a victim. He arrived as a believer. The moment both fighters stepped into the ring, the energy changed. Inoue stood calm, almost cold, his eyes scanning MJ's stance, his breathing, his rhythm. Akhmadaliev, in contrast, radiated intensity. Chin slightly lifted, southpaw stance locked in place. Every inch of him screamed intent. The referee called them to the center. No words were exchanged, only cold stares. Then the bell rang. Boxing Glove Part 2, Act 2, The Early War, Rounds 1 to 20. Corrected. Round 1, the chessboard. The opening round was pure calculation. Inoue circled smoothly, flicking his jab like a fencer's blade. His movements were sharp, efficient, giving away nothing. Akhmadaliev probed with his southpaw jab to the body, then a straight left upstairs. Inoue slipped both without a flinch. The bell ended with Inoue slightly ahead in activity. It was a chess match in gloves. Round 2, the first spark. Then came the first crackle of fire. MJ slammed a hard left hook to the body, landing flush. The sound echoed through the dome. The crowd gasped. It wasn't just a scoring punch, it was a statement. I'm not here to run, I'm here to hurt you. Inoue's response was immediate, a crisp 1-2 upstairs, blinding in speed. The difference in quickness was glaring. Still, MJ grinned and fired back with a stiff jab and a sneaky uppercut that grazed Inoue's chin. The fight had come alive. Round 3, pressure. Now Akhmadaliev pressed forward. He cut angles, stepping inside with thudding body shots. His left hand smashed repeatedly into Inoue's ribs, forcing the monster backward. For the first time in years, Inoue wasn't dictating, he was thinking. The commentators leaned in. Has the monster been forced to think? MJ stole the round with sheer pressure. Round 4, adjustment. Champions adjust. And Inoue did. Every time MJ stepped in, Inoue timed him. He slipped back half a step and answered with vicious counters, liver shots, right hooks. A perfectly timed right hook to the temple staggered Akhmadaliev. The dome roared. The monster had reloaded his weapon. Rounds 5 to 8, war ignites. The storm came. MJ bit down and marched forward, chopping with short punches inside the clinch, ribs, arms, chest, anything he could touch. Inoue answered with surgical violence. Uppercuts in tight, pivots out of danger, counters that snapped MJ's head back. Still, Akhmadaliev never retreated. By round 6, blood was leaking from MJ's right brow. Inoue targeted it mercilessly, jabbing and hooking into the wound. Round 7 flipped the script. MJ drilled a brutal liver shot that froze Inoue for a heartbeat. The dome gasped. Was the monster hurt? Round 8 answered. Inoue came out furious, ripping a double left hook combo, body, head. Akhmadaliev staggered to the ropes, almost down, but waved off the referee. He was still in it. The dome was in chaos. Rounds 9 to 14, attrition. The ring shrank. The fight closed in. MJ's body was red, bruised, bleeding, yet his eyes burned with fire. Inoue, breathing heavier, mixed levels with genius, jab upstairs, feint, then drill the liver. Every shot had a reply. It wasn't points anymore, it was willpower. By round 14, both men looked like they'd lived a lifetime in the ring, and still, neither man broke. Round 15, respect. Halfway through, they touched gloves. Not friends, not foes, but survivors. Inoue's precision sharpened. His punches landed cleaner. MJ took them, his corner screaming for urgency as the punishment mounted. Rounds 16 to 20, the monster awakens. The tide turned. Inoue began walking MJ down, not recklessly, but with cold calculation. He trapped him in corners, ripping combinations that echoed like thunder. MJ's footwork slowed. His punch output dipped. Blood poured from his brows. Round 19, a vicious 4-punch head-body combo nearly folded him. Yet he bit down and answered with a defiant straight left. Round 20, chaos. MJ went all in. Over 80 punches thrown. Hooks, overhands, uppercuts. Some landed, some missed. But by the bell, it was MJ who looked spent. The monster had survived the storm. Rounds 21 to 24, the monster's control. After the chaos of round 20, Inoue reasserted his dominance. He circled, sharp as a blade, and picked Akhmadaliev apart with pinpoint shots. His right cross found MJ's chin again and again, each one snapping the Uzbek's head back with clinical precision. MJ's legs slowed, his guard leaked, the punishment mounted. Still, every now and then, he'd throw a sneaky jab or hook that reminded the monster he was still dangerous. But the balance of power had shifted. The dome could feel it. The monster was back in control. Round 25, on the edge. Then came a scare. Inoue landed a perfectly timed left hook to the jaw. MJ staggered into the ropes. The referee leapt in, counting, but Akhmadaliev raised his gloves, insisting he was fine. It wasn't ruled a knockdown, but it was close. The monster didn't swarm. He stalked, waiting for the mistake. The predator was patient. Rounds 26 to 28, the masterclass. For 3 rounds, Inoue put on a clinic. Sharp jabs, lead hooks, surgical right hands. He feinted low, came high. He trapped MJ on the ropes, dissecting him piece by piece. The Tokyo Dome crowd began chanting, "Knock him out, knock him out." But still, Akhmadaliev refused to fold. His face was bloodied, eyes swelling, but his fists never stopped flying. Courage was his currency, and he spent it freely. Round 29, the final storm. Sensing the end, Inoue unleashed hell. A feint low, then a crushing right hook upstairs. It landed flush. MJ stumbled. Inoue swarmed, firing 9 unanswered punches. Hooks, straights, uppercuts. The dome shook. Somehow, Akhmadaliev stayed upright, clinging to survival. Round 30, knockout, or not. The final round of the scheduled exhibition began with eerie tension. Both circled. Then Inoue stabbed to the body, drew MJ's guard low, and ripped a picture-perfect right uppercut to the chin. Akhmadaliev collapsed straight down, flat. The referee waved his arms. It was over. The monster had done it. The dome erupted. Fans wept, screamed, embraced. Inoue raised his hands high, the undisputed king once again. But then, something no one expected. MJ stirred. He blinked. He moved. He rose. Dazed, broken, but not finished. He had beaten the count. The Tokyo Dome gasped in disbelief. Even Inoue, calm and cold, looked momentarily surprised. The fight, unthinkably, continued. Round 31, shadows of men. The arena fell quiet. Both fighters looked like shadows of themselves, sweat-soaked, bloodied, stumbling, yet still standing. Inoue jabbed cautiously, slowing the pace. Akhmadaliev covered up, high guard, trying to find his legs. It was a breather round, both men silently agreeing the storm would return. Round 32, the counter. Out of nowhere, MJ fired back. A hard counter left to the ribs froze Inoue in place. The crowd exploded. The monster nodded in acknowledgement. Then both unleashed at once, 17 punches thrown in 8 seconds. Hooks, straights, uppercuts. Both landed. Neither retreated. The dome became an inferno. Rounds 33 to 36, a psychological war. The pace slowed again. Fatigue had settled deep into their bones. Breathing heavy, movement dulled, but minds sharper than ever. Inoue feinted, baiting MJ's jab. MJ circled left, hunting the lane for his straight left. It wasn't about scorecards anymore. It was survival. Every feint carried menace. Every miss carried risk. Round 37, the gunshot. Then came the sound that echoed like thunder. A body shot from Inoue slammed into MJ's ribs, the crack audible even in the upper seats. MJ winced, buckled 2 steps back. The monster advanced, expressionless, cold, calculated. He threw a hook upstairs that missed by an inch. The warning was clear. He was hunting again. Round 38, the blood. MJ's right eye burst open again. Blood poured freely. Still, he came forward. He landed a double jab and a left hook to the temple. Inoue absorbed it. The monster nodded. The war raged on. Rounds 39 to 42, MJ's revival. And then, the impossible. Akhmadaliev fought the best stretch of his career. Over 50 punches per round. Pressing Inoue to the ropes, banging the body, whipping lefts upstairs. For the first time in years, Inoue wasn't dominant. He was surviving, clinching, circling, buying time. The monster was in trouble. MJ had roared back. Round 43, the Unchained Monster. After 4 rounds where Akhmadaliev clawed back momentum, Inoue came out different. Gone was the calm, surgical sniper. He was furious. Unchained, the monster unleashed a 7-punch combination. Hooks, uppercuts, straights, ending with a right hand that hurled MJ into the corner. The bell saved him. Just barely. The dome shook like thunder. Rounds 44 to 48, stamina and soul. By now, speed was gone. Sharpness dulled. But heart had never burned brighter. Inoue ripped body shots again and again. Hooks that sank into the liver like blades. MJ answered with his own, short hooks, counter straights, anything to keep his pride alive. Every punch carried pain. Every punch carried history. The crowd knew, this wasn't just boxing. This was two souls refusing to yield. Round 49, immortality. Commentators whispered, this isn't about belts anymore. This is about immortality. They were right. The fighters weren't men anymore. They were symbols. Symbols of endurance. Symbols of refusal. 50,000 fans sat stunned, knowing they were watching the impossible. Round 50, madness. And then it happened. MJ cracked Inoue with a perfect uppercut. For the first time in years, the monster's legs buckled. The undefeated king clinched desperately. MJ poured on punches, hooks, straights, a storm of leather. The crowd screamed. Inoue's aura flickered, but the bell rang. He survived, barely. Rounds 51 to 54, dangerous territory. The fight moved past danger into desperation. Both men were bleeding. Both were swollen. Both had taken more punishment than most boxers do in a lifetime. Inoue returned to basics. Jab, move, jab, body. MJ stalked, patient, hunting one more opening for his left hand. Every round felt like it could be the last, yet neither man broke. Round 55, the flash knockdown. The monster struck. A sneaky right uppercut under the guard stunned MJ. Inoue followed with a left hook to the liver. MJ dropped to a knee. The crowd gasped. The referee counted. MJ stood again. He refused to quit. The dome roared with respect. Rounds 56 to 58, war drums. The fight had become a battlefield. Punches no longer crisp, but thrown with everything left in their souls. The sound of leather on flesh echoed like war drums. They stood toe-to-toe. Two broken warriors. Two men throwing beyond their limits. Fans cried in the stands. Commentators choked up. This isn't boxing anymore. This is heart. Pure heart. Round 59, the miracle that almost was. And then, in round 59, nearly a miracle. MJ landed a looping overhand left flush on Inoue's chin. The monster stumbled back, covering up. MJ swarmed, 10 punches in a furious rush. But Inoue bit down, countered with a right hook that stopped him cold. Both men stood, hands low, daring the other to throw. Legs gone, spirits burning. Round 60, the final chapter. The bell rang for the final round. Both men touched gloves, a silent nod of respect. No instructions from the corner. No need for words. They stood in the center, bloodied, exhausted, legends. They exchanged everything, hooks, uppercuts, body shots, jabs. Sweat and blood flew with every collision. The Tokyo Dome screamed. 10 seconds left. Then Inoue fainted low, stepped inside, and delivered a devastating right hand to the chin. MJ collapsed, flat. The referee counted. 1, 2, 3, 10. It was over. Naoya Inoue had done it. Round 60. The final second. Aftermath. The dome exploded in chaos, screams, sobs, silence, disbelief. Inoue fell to his knees, not in celebration, but in exhaustion, relief, emotion. His team rushed in. Across the ring, Akhmadaliev sat slumped, conscious but broken, medics giving him oxygen. His corner held his hand high. The crowd gave him a standing ovation. There were no losers, only immortals. The final announcement thundered through the speakers. Winner by knockout, round 60, Naoya Inoue. The monster remained king, but Murodjon Akhmadaliev left as something greater than a champion. He left as a legend. The Tokyo Dome aftermath. When the referee waved his arms and declared the fight over, the Tokyo Dome was a storm of emotions. Some screamed, some wept, some simply stood frozen, realizing they had witnessed something never seen before. Naoya Inoue, undefeated, undisputed, unrelenting, had survived 60 rounds of hell and delivered the final blow. But across the ring, Murodjon Akhmadaliev, broken, bleeding, yet unbowed, was lifted onto his stool, given oxygen, and honored with the kind of respect usually reserved for champions who win, not those who fall. The two men locked eyes one final time. There were no words, only respect. The monster's crown. For Inoue, this wasn't just another win. It was validation. A war that tested every fiber of his greatness. He had beaten champions before. He had unified divisions. He had been called pound for pound the best. But this was different. 60 rounds. 2 knockdowns, a final knockout in the very last frame. This was mythology, the kind of performance that elevates a fighter from greatness into immortality. His record now stood at 28-0 with 26 knockouts, numbers that glittered on paper, but behind them, there was this war, the kind of fight that turns numbers into legend. The Lion from Uzbekistan. And what of Akhmadaliev? Defeat is too small a word for what he endured. He had gone further with Inoue than any man alive. He had hurt him. He had forced him into survival mode. He had made the monster bleed, stumble, and for moments, doubt. He didn't win the belts. He didn't walk away with victory, but he walked away with something greater, immortality of his own. His record now read 12-2. But ask anyone who was in the Tokyo Dome that night, or the millions who watched around the globe, and they will tell you, Akhmadaliev was no loser. He was a warrior who redefined what heart looks like. Media frenzy. Within hours, the world erupted. Boxing Empire dropped the full fight breakdown with slow-motion replays, punch stats, corner audio. It hit 10 million views in just 24 hours. ESPN called it the greatest fight ever fought. DAZN's headline read, 60 rounds of madness, Inoue and Akhmadaliev rewrite boxing history. Social media flooded with clips, edits, reaction videos. Fans compared it to Ali, Frazier, Gatti, Ward, Chavez, Taylor, but always added, no, this was bigger. Commentators' reflections. Promoters, journalists, former champions, everyone weighed in. We will never see this again in our lifetime, one commentator said. This fight belongs in history books, not just highlight reels, wrote a journalist. Both men left something of themselves in that ring. And we are all witnesses, said a retired champion. The consensus was clear. Boxing hadn't just been preserved that night. It had been reborn. The fans' memory. Those who were in Tokyo told stories like pilgrims. They spoke of the roar that shook the dome when MJ rose after knockdowns, the silence when Inoue's legs buckled, the eruption when the final punch landed. For years, for decades, they would say, I was there. I saw Inoue versus Akhmadaliev. I saw the 60-round war. It became more than a fight. It became a memory passed down, a story to tell children, a legend stamped into the sport. Legacy defined. For Naoya Inoue, the victory meant more than belts, rankings, or pound-for-pound lists. It placed him in conversations with the gods of boxing. Ali, Robinson, Duran, Chavez, fighters whose names transcend the sport. For Murodjon Akhmadaliev, the loss immortalized him. He became the Gatti to Inoue's Ward, the Frazier to his Ali, not the winner of the trilogy, but the man who made the war unforgettable. And for boxing itself, the fight proved what fans had always believed. This sport, at its best, is the most beautiful and brutal expression of the human spirit. The final word. When the dust settled, when the cuts healed, when the dome emptied, one truth remained. Two men stepped into a ring in Tokyo, and together, they gave the world something it had never seen before. Not a fight, not even a war, but a testament to will, to heart, to courage, to the refusal to quit. Naoya Inoue had his hand raised. Murodjon Akhmadaliev had his legacy raised. And boxing soared higher than ever before.